What if I told you that some of the most talented rock bands from the 1980s simply disappeared overnight, leaving behind nothing but their music and unanswered questions? When you saw this video's title, you're probably wondering which bands we're talking about, what happened to them, and why they vanished so completely. Maybe you're thinking about bands you used to love that just stopped making music, or you're curious about discovering some hidden gems from the decade that defined rock music. Today, we're diving deep into 10 incredible rock bands from the 1980s that had everything going for them: talent, record deals, growing fan bases, and promising futures, but then vanished without a trace. These aren't bands that gradually faded away or broke up publicly. These are the mysterious disappearances that left fans and the music industry scratching their heads, wondering what could have been. 1. Shark Island. Let's start with Shark Island. A band that seemed destined for greatness, but disappeared just as they were gaining momentum. Formed in Los Angeles in 1986, this hard rock quintet had the perfect recipe for 80s success: leather jackets, big hair, and guitar riffs that could melt steel. What made Shark Island special wasn't just their sound, but their authenticity in an era where many bands were manufactured for commercial success. Lead singer Richard Black had a voice that could compete with any of the era's biggest stars, while their guitarist, Spencer Circum, crafted solos that fans still talk about today. They were building a loyal following, touring with established acts, and everything pointed toward a breakthrough second album. But then, as suddenly as they'd appeared on the scene, Shark Island went silent. No farewell tour, no official breakup announcement, no dramatic band member departures. They simply stopped. Industry insiders whispered about internal conflicts and creative differences, but nothing was ever confirmed. 2. Tangier, moving from the West Coast to the East. We encounter the equally mysterious case of Tangier. This Philadelphia-based quartet burst onto the scene in 1989 with a sound that perfectly captured the raw energy of late 80s rock. Their self-titled debut album showcased a band that understood both the power of a heavy riff and the importance of memorable melodies. Tangier stood out because they managed to bridge the gap between the emerging alternative rock movement and traditional hard rock. Songs like Sweet Surrender demonstrated their ability to craft radio-friendly hits without sacrificing their edge. The band was in the middle of planning their follow-up album when they encountered what industry veterans describe as the perfect storm of bad luck. Their record label was restructuring, their management company dissolved, and internal tensions began tearing the band apart. Rather than fighting through these challenges like many of their contemporaries did, Tangier chose to walk away. 3. King Cobra. Our next mysterious disappearance involves King Cobra, a supergroup that should have been unstoppable. Formed by drummer Carmine Appice, who had already achieved legendary status with bands like Vanilla Fudge and Beck, Bogert, and Appice, King Cobra brought together seasoned musicians with incredible pedigrees and younger talents hungry for success. The band's 1985 debut album, Ready to Strike, showcased their impressive musical chemistry. With Mark Free's soaring vocals and David Michael Phillips' guitar work, they created a sound that was both contemporary and timeless. King Cobra seemed to have everything needed for long-term success: experienced leadership, musical talent, industry connections, and growing commercial appeal. They were touring extensively, building their fan base, and working on what promised to be their breakthrough third album. Then, without warning, creative differences and business disputes tore the band apart. 4th, White Lion. Perhaps one of the most tragic disappearances on our list is White Lion.
Little child, dry your crying eyes.
A band that actually achieved significant commercial success before vanishing from the mainstream. Formed by Danish vocalist Mike Tramp and American guitarist Vito Bratta, White Lion represented the international nature of 80s rock, bringing together diverse influences to create something uniquely powerful. Their breakthrough album, Pride, in 1987, spawned multiple hit singles, including Wait and When the Children Cry, both of which received heavy rotation on MTV and radio. White Lion was at the height of their success, selling millions of albums worldwide and headlining major festivals, when internal tensions began destroying the band from within. Creative differences between Tramp and Bratta became irreconcilable, leading to Brada's sudden departure from the music industry. 5. Britney Fox, continuing our journey through vanished 80s rock bands. We encounter Britney Fox, a group that epitomized the glamorous excess of late 80s metal. Hailing from Philadelphia, this quartet combined theatrical stage presence with serious musical chops, creating a spectacle that captivated audiences across the country. Their 1988 self-titled debut album demonstrated their ability to craft both crushing heavy metal anthems and more melodic rock ballads. Singer Dizzy Dean Davidson's powerful voice and the twin guitar attack of Michael Kelly Smith and Tommy Paris created a wall of sound that could fill any arena. Britney Fox was building momentum with each tour and album release, developing a devoted following that eagerly anticipated each new recording. However, the band's success was cut short by a series of unfortunate events that seemed to drain their creative energy. 6. Icon. Our exploration of disappeared bands brings us to Icon. A group that possessed one of the most distinctive sounds of the entire decade. Formed in Phoenix, Arizona, Icon combined progressive rock sensibilities with hard rock power, creating music that was both intellectually challenging and emotionally engaging. What set Icon apart was their willingness to experiment with different musical styles while maintaining a cohesive band identity. Songs like On Your Feet demonstrated their ability to create memorable hooks without sacrificing musical sophistication. Icon was gaining recognition from both critics and fans, with many predicting that they were on the verge of a major breakthrough. Unfortunately, the band's perfectionist approach to their craft may have ultimately contributed to their downfall, as they spent enormous amounts of time and money creating albums that, while artistically successful, failed to achieve the commercial success needed to sustain their career. 7. Sabotage. Moving into more progressive territory, we encounter Sabotage.
The darkness of the night to a distant fading light.
A band that pushed the boundaries of what rock music could be while maintaining the power and intensity that defined the decade. This Tampa-based group combined classical influences with metal aggression, creating concept albums that told complete stories through their music. Sabotage's theatrical approach to rock music set them apart from their contemporaries. Their albums weren't just collections of songs, but complete artistic statements that required listeners to engage with the music on multiple levels. Despite their artistic achievements and growing cult following, Sabotage found themselves struggling against an industry that often prioritized commercial appeal over artistic innovation. When key members began pursuing other projects and the band's founders started focusing on different musical ventures, Sabotage gradually faded from the spotlight, leaving behind a legacy of innovative music that influenced countless musicians but never received the recognition it deserved. 8. Kicks. Our journey through vanished 80s rock bands brings us to Kicks. A Maryland-based group that represented the fun-loving, party-ready side of the decade's rock scene. While many bands took themselves extremely seriously, Kicks understood that rock music was supposed to be entertaining, and they delivered high-energy performances that left audiences exhausted from dancing and singing along. Kicks possessed the rare ability to craft songs that were simultaneously catchy and substantial. Their music featured memorable choruses, driving rhythms, and guitar work that was both technically proficient and emotionally engaging. The band was building a significant following through constant touring and regular album releases, but they struggled to break through to the next level of success. Despite their talent and work ethic, Kicks found themselves caught in the industry's changing priorities as the 1980s came to an end. New musical styles were emerging, and many of the record labels that had supported rock bands throughout the decade were shifting their focus to different genres. 9. Rat. Perhaps the most surprising entry on our list is Rat.
That's where we meet. You make the night. I always cross the lines.
A band that actually achieved massive commercial success before their mysterious fade from prominence. Formed in Los Angeles, Rat became one of the defining bands of 80s metal, with their distinctive sound and image inspiring countless imitators throughout the decade. Rat's success was built on their ability to combine heavy metal power with pop sensibilities, creating songs that were both radio-friendly and satisfying to serious rock fans. What makes Rat's story so mysterious is how quickly they went from being one of the biggest bands in rock music to virtual obscurity. 10. Cinderella. Our final mysterious disappearance involves Cinderella,
Make you feel what you felt so long ago.
a band that seemed to have everything needed for sustained success, but chose to walk away from the spotlight at the height of their powers. Led by the charismatic Tom Kiefer, Cinderella combined blues rock influences with metal power, creating a sound that was both familiar and fresh. Cinderella's albums featured a perfect balance of hard-driving rockers and emotional ballads, with Kiefer's distinctive voice tying everything together into a cohesive, artistic vision. The band was at the peak of their creative and commercial success when Kiefer began experiencing serious health issues that affected his ability to perform. Rather than continuing with a replacement vocalist or modifying their approach to accommodate these challenges, Cinderella chose to step away from the music industry entirely. These 10 bands represent just a fraction of the incredible musical talent that emerged during the 1980s only to vanish without a trace. Each group had something unique to offer, whether it was innovative songwriting, exceptional musicianship, or distinctive artistic vision. Yet circumstances beyond their control led to their premature disappearance from the music scene. If you enjoyed discovering these forgotten gems of 80s rock, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we're just getting started exploring the mysteries of music history. Share this video with any rock fans in your life who might remember these bands or want to discover some incredible music they've never heard before. And drop a comment below telling us which of these vanished bands you think had the most potential for lasting success. We read every single comment and love hearing your thoughts about these musical mysteries.